I'm going to go over the steps on how to install a Robomow, and this is a robotic mulching lawnmower. So it will automatically cut your lawn on a predetermined schedule. And for me in the Chicago area, rather than hiring a lawn service to do my lawn, and our backyard is a little over 3,000 square feet, you can program this to cut your lawn at any schedule, and it'll automatically start, mow your lawn, it'll go back onto its charger and charge itself, and it's ready to mow again. And in this kit, you're going to get this mulching lawnmower, you're going to get all the pegs to run this wire, and it doesn't matter what you have in your backyard. If you have landscaping areas or trees, you can design this so it'll go around everything. Not only can you lay out your design, but you can also utilize its internal sensing mechanism. If it bumps into something, it'll back up and go around it. So just a very innovative robotic lawnmower, and I'll go over the steps on how to install it. So once you take everything out of the box, the lawnmower itself is connected to the base unit with a couple of cable ties. So you're going to need to cut these off, and that's going to allow you to separate the mower from the base unit, and then we need to decide where we're going to put this unit. So now you need to pick a place in your yard where you're going to put the base unit. And this is where the Robomow is going to come and dock and charge itself, and then it's going to take off on its own schedule. And so the back of this base needs to be at least 10 feet from a corner. So I'm going to have it come from the backyard on a corner here. So I've got this more than 10 feet. I've got it in a shaded area, so that's going to extend the battery life. And then we need to make sure that we're within 65 feet of an outlet, because we need to plug in the electric. So we're going to start it here, and then we're going to start laying out our perimeter wire. So now we're going to lay our perimeter wire, and this is the outline that the Robomow is going to follow. And we're going to take these little pegs that they give us, and I'm using a rubber mallet so I don't break them. And we're going to pound this in, and we want the top of this flush or a little below the surface of the soil. And when we start right from the base unit, you want to leave about 12 inches of extra line. Now you're going to get a few rolls of this wire. Only one of them have this plug that's going to plug into the base unit. So you want to start with this, and we're going to leave about 12 inches extra. And then what they also provide is this nice guide. This is basically a ruler, and depending on where you're doing it in the lawn, you can go against the lawn edge, because the mower itself is actually going to edge for you. Or it has an outline for a wall edge, so we want to be at least this far from the edge of the wall. So we're going to line up, and because I've got brick here, I'm going to line up the base here, and then we're going to plant this first spike, and then we'll use this as a guide all the way around. So about every 3 feet, I'm going to use my guide from the wall, and I'm going to pound in. I'm just going to pull this snug and pound in a spike. We're going to come back and add more spikes later to tighten this up, but we'll do this just about every 3 feet. I also want to mention that we're winding all of this counterclockwise. That's the way they recommend that you lay out your perimeter wire. Now when I get to a corner, instead of making a hard 90, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a slight 45 on this. And so I'm keeping it away from the wall by this guide, and then here I want it to edge all the way up to this brick. And so I'm using a shorter distance here. Now what I want to do is I want to give it just a little 45-degree angle, and they recommend about 8 inches. So I laid out to here, I laid out to here, and then I want to make sure that it lines up to 8 inches, and I'll just adjust this till I have my right angle. So I loosely put the wire completely around the perimeter of the yard, and I'm pulling this just past the base. We're actually going to put this wire underneath the base, and I'm lining it up where we started our wire here. Now if you need more than one roll of wire, they have kits, and they also have wire connectors, so you can split this, connect them with a wire connector, and continue. But for this I only needed one roll, and now I'm going to hold the length here so that it's lined up to this first peg, and now I'm going to pull this about a foot, and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to strip back the outer insulation to about a 1/4 inch. Now that I have my wire stripped, I'm going to move the base, and I'm going to pull my wire, and I'm going to pull up this spike, and I'm going to run this wire underneath it, and I'll pull it tight the other direction, and then I'm going to pound this down. And now I'm going to wind these two wires together. We're going to braid them. And once I have them wound together, then I'm just going to take this wire, I'm going to push it into the base, and then I'm going to tighten it down with this set screw. So now I'm going to take this base unit and then I'm going to move it up right to that stake that's holding our wire with the plug, and I'm going to center it in this slot. And then I'm going to take one of the metal spikes and put it into one of the holes near the charging unit here and pound that in. And then I'm going to make sure I line up this little slot on the back of this base. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plastic spike here, and then I'll put another metal spike in front to lock it down. So now we're going to connect our perimeter wire to the charger, and there's a latch that you lift in front, and then you push this whole unit forward, and then you just plug this in. Snap it in place. Protect your wires underneath the unit, and then snap it back in place. So now all I have to do is plug in the power unit, and this is designed for outside, but they actually recommend you put it up under an overhang if possible. And here we have an overhang, and I'm also just going to mount it right here. They come with a bracket. I'm going to drill 2 holes into the mortar around the brick so I don't damage the brick, and I'm just going to mount it here. I'm also going to put a different cover on this outlet. This really should have a bubble cover, so I'll do that in another project later on, but we'll put a plastic bubble cover so it's protected. The plug will be protected from rain and any of the elements. So now that I have all my wires laid out and I have this where I want it, I'm just going to put in 2 more of the metal spikes. I'm going to get it just snug, and then there's 2 additional ones. Once I get the unit in here and make sure it's going in and out good, then I'll pound it completely down. So the first step with the mower is we're going to open up the top, and we're going to adjust the cutting height. And you can adjust it from about 1 inch to 3 inches. I like to cut grass about 3 inches. Keeps it longer, it gives it longer roots. It's healthier for the lawn. So you're going to push this down and turn this counterclockwise, and I'm going to set this at 3 inches. So now we have to insert the fuse. So you take the fuse, it comes in a little bag, and I unscrewed the top of the opening here for the fuse. It's in the back of the mower, and we're just going to put the fuse in and then tighten the top down clockwise. So once you put the fuse in, it'll turn itself on, and then there's a one-time setup where you use this LED display and you're going to set the date and the time. So now we're going to keep it about 10 feet from the base station, and we're going to turn it on, and we're going to see if it can sense it and park itself. It says it's warming up. And now it's searching for the base. So now I'm just going to finish putting in the pegs. And then we're going to, now we have to set how many square feet, and we'll program that in. So now we're going to test that it senses the wire before I finish putting all the extra pegs in all the way around the perimeter. There it goes, fantastic. So now we'll just watch it, and we'll follow it all the way around the yard just to make sure it doesn't bump into anything. So once it searches the perimeter wire, now it goes back to the unit and it's going to charge itself up. And then what we'll do is we'll go in here and we'll put a schedule in how often we want it to mow. So very simple to set up and just a fantastic mower.